Good morning, guys. So today I'm here to talk about how to get started with robotics. Like, if anyone is interested in the field of robotics and you don't know where to start, this guide and this video is for you. And on the link I'll put the PDF version of this guidebook that I've created so that you guys can learn about it more. Okay, so first of all, as you all know, that robotics is a very important field of engineering currently, and what's going on is basically there is a huge importance in the sector today. Okay, and we can also learn about exactly what is robotics. Okay, so when you ask that question, you would be thinking like robotics is the branch of technology that deals with the design, construction, operation and application of robots. Okay, and robot is just a mechanical device programmed to do your task. It could be like repetitive task, like boring task, or for human beings it would be like basically whatever task is not suitable for human beings, like the repetitive task, or carrying heavy objects, or exploring very deep in the ocean, like where human beings can't take the pressure, or going to the space, right? So space robbers are kind of like robots, and then like robots are all around us all the time. So if you think about like washing machine, like that's just like a robot, okay, but that's a really dumb robot because that does not have any other functions except for just washing your clothes. Okay, then if you think about your cell phone, it's kind of like automated device that can communicate with other people, your automated like IoT system, integrated homes, all of these places are basically kind of robot systems. Okay, now first of all I'd like to tell you what is comprised of like robotics. So robotics is comprised of three fields of engineering: mechanical, electronics engineering, and also a field of computer science. Okay, so what happens is the mechanical people, they do the design for moving, like the movements, the the kinematics, and electronics people, they design the nervous system, the power supply, and with the components, integration, connection systems, all of these things. And the computer science people, what do is they give you the instructions that your robots would follow. Okay, so that's why all these three fields of engineering and science is very important for robotics. Now if you want to learn robotics, like, you're at the right place. So once you start learning about all these fields, so you'll be qualified to go into any of these fields. Okay, I mean, it would be a very specialized, but you would still have a basic knowledge of like how these fields work. Okay, so first of all I'd like to tell you that robots are just like humans, okay, but they're just the machine version. So what happens is as always, like, humans have made technologies and like all these inventions just by getting inspired from nature. So I'll give you one example. It's like the train systems that we have, right? They got inspired from like caterpillars, and they saw like how they keep moving and stuff. So that's how like we got the idea about that. Then we have airplane by looking at the birds, like when Leonardo da Vinci, he came up with that concept, right? So how do we work, humans? Okay, so we usually get like information, we process in our brain, and then we give output, right? Yeah, so you understand this. So now I'm gonna like tell you why you should learn robotics. So robots are a bigger part of the future. Like so wherever you're gonna see, like, you'll see robots everywhere, basically. Let's say to make our lives easier, or let's say to do the difficult task that I was telling like a few minutes before. Then robots are going to change the job market. Okay, so everywhere everything will be like replaced by robots in about like an upcoming decade, and most of the people will have to learn about all these machines, like operating them, their maintenance, all of these things. Okay, so initially what will happen is we'll be making robots that would be working alongside human beings, but afterwards we'll just replace them, and that time we probably will have some universal basic income and stuff. Okay, and robotics also develops like important physical skills, because everything is going towards the programming world. So what robot does is like you have some physical quantity to work with, and when you have this thing, you can increase and develop your spatial awareness, your motor skills, and also you'll have a practical understanding of the engineering skills. Okay, robotics also offers like different employability skills, problem solving. Then you could build a robot by yourself and work with your friends to make something really good, and it's kind of like a training for your future as well. And robots gives you a better understanding of the STEM field, like science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Okay, so it will prepare you I was telling you guys that robots is going to strengthen the understanding of the science technology, right? So what would happen is once you work with robots, right, so it would give you a better understanding of like the theory, like what you're learning in schools, what you're learning in universities, and then you would be able to apply it to like a greater extent to discover something great. Okay, that's what we believe, at least. And research has shown like a lot of evidence on these things. So how do robots work? So I've given you like a brief idea about here, like how human beings work. They get a signal, they process the signal in their brain, and they respond accordingly, right? So robots, they have a similar mechanism. They use the sensors, and the sensors get the information from the environment, and they send the information to the microcontrollers. That means the brain of the robot. And once they process the information, then they can respond accordingly using their actuators. Okay, so it could be like just a controlled program or something, or it could be like a controlled response. I can give you an example. Basically, let's say you have a Nesta systems at your home, and what would happen is basically, depending on how hot it is, like it would decrease the temperature of the room or increase it, okay, according to it. Then like by looking at camera, so basically let's say imagine you have a garage system and you come near your garage and the doors open automatically by just calculating the distance. Okay, so robot systems are everywhere. So first of all, this topic was how to get started with robotics, right? So first of all, we're going to talk about when you think about making a robot, you need to think about the design of your robot, right? So first thing would be like to design have a basic design on pencil and paper, yeah, or you can say pen and paper. So we have a basic sketch and outline. So what would our robot do? And as we design this thing, we'll understand like how exactly this works. Okay, so we will make different versions. So first of all, a basic design that the robot would look like this. Then after that, you keep iterating, and once you do those things, what would happen is you will have a better understanding of the design process, and that's what the engineering is. Okay, so once you keep practicing this thing, you don't need to go to uni, you don't need to go anywhere, you just need to practice by yourselves. Okay, maybe you could do it with your friends, and once you do all of these things, you're gonna get the skills out of it. Okay, but whatever you do, you must be a little patient. You can't just expect to get it right the first time, right? And so just think about it. Like, let's say you have a cell phone, right? You're looking at the iPhone you're using, or you're like an Android version. So this is not in the industry, or this is not out like in one day, right? So they've been working on this thing, like loads of engineers, like for hundreds of days, like let's say for years, and then they have this refined product. So you have to do literally the same thing for your robot, and once you keep making your robot, you're gonna get this employability skills, and it will get you ready for the industry. Okay, so then you'll be like design even better versions, and once you learn all of these skill sets, what would happen is you can, let's say, apply all of these skill sets in like different areas. Okay, and so that's why I would like to tell you, have some patience and keep working, so you will succeed. So first of all, here you can see some of the sketch of our robot. This is a robot, and we were going to decide, like, so what we are going to do today is we're going to teach you how to make an obstacle avoidance robot. So first of all, there's a sketch of the robot that I've done like a couple of times. This is just like one of the refined versions. I've done sketch before this as well, but this is like one of the refined versions, and I took a picture of that so to give you guys an idea like how it should look like. I mean, not everyone has to be like a really good artist, right? But you can still practice. And there are also, once you know your designs, how it's going to be, you also know your functionalities, what it does, then what you could do is you can make up a 3D design, which we were going to show you afterwards. Okay, using some free softwares like Autodesk Fusion 360, SolidWorks, or Adobe Maya, or like there are a couple of rounds. So for this purpose, our functionalities of our robot would be like, the robot would be moving around, and it will avoid obstacles. So it's basically an obstacle avoidance robot. However, you could add like more features like infrared, Bluetooth, and let's say more sensors in future. Okay, so for this purpose, what's going to happen is our robots might need a components like say our robot would need its leg to move around, right? It would need its eyes, brain, its body, all of these things, and also its power source. So these are the components we would be needing, like DC motors, then sensors, then microcontrollers, and batteries. Okay, so this is how the components should be there. So let's learn a little bit more about the sensors. So there are numerous sensors around. So a couple of them being like what do you say, the light sensors, temperature sensors, humidity sensors, all of these things are around, okay? Distance sensor, proximity sensor, magnetic sensor. So you could utilize them and use them like in your systems, whatever you're going to work with, okay? So now for our purpose, we're going to use this HCSR04 ultrasonic sensor, and depending on their purposes you could be using the other sensors, okay? So how does this ultrasonic sensor work? So what happens is this sensor, I've given you like a basic idea here. So one of them is like transmitter, and one of them is like receiver. So what it does is it transmits the signal and it gets back from the obstacle. So when it receives it, it understands there is something there, and by doing the calculation, what it does is it tells the microcontroller, basically the brain of the robot, and the brain can send instruction that, yeah, don't go that way, go the other way, or go back a little bit, okay? So this is how it works. Now, what is the brain of our robot? So there are numerous microcontrollers available in the market. For our purpose, we will use the Arduino, because Arduino has a vast resources online, okay, and it is very powerful. It's got loads of pins which you'd be able to use it for your purposes, okay? And it also has a lot of compatible sensors on the market, so that would be very useful for you and easier for you, okay? I mean, you would want to start with something very easy, right? You don't want to like just get something which is very difficult, you don't get a component. So we are gonna use this widespread component that will be easier for you to get, okay? And it's quite cheap as well, depending on if the amount you're going to be spending on university or any kind of workshop. So here you're gonna learn it for free, and this is going to be your component. And another interesting thing is you'd be able to use this Arduino for another purpose, like other purposes, not another purpose. So it's basically you could be using it for like home automation systems, microcontroller, controlling anything, okay? And for our power supply, what would happen is we're going to use this 9-volt battery, and it's going to power our robot up, okay? Now let's look at the body of our robot. So we're going to use this very cheap acrylic chassis that we're going to get in Amazon. It's going to cost you around like 9 to 10 pounds, not more than that. And I mean, unless you want to make it, you could do that by yourself, but we don't want to hassle too much. We just want to buy this thing for like 9 to 10 pounds and like assemble it and then like add our components together, which makes our lives easier, okay? So now that we have our body, we have our brain, we have our sensors, let's learn about how to connect to with the schematics, like all the components together, okay? And as you can see, you have some DC motors here, the yellow ones. You have wheels, so this is going to act as a leg of the robot, okay? So let's look at the schematics. So this thing here in front of you is called the schematics, okay? So basically how we do the wiring of the robot. So there could be other forms of schematics, but this is a very easy one so that you can understand easily, okay? So we have two DC motors connected, we have our brain, we have our battery, we have our sensors, okay? So what the mechanism does is the sensors receive the information from the front, and what it does is it sends it to the Arduino. Arduino thinks and it processes and says, yeah, don't go that way, and then it uses the motor which direction it wants to go. If it wants to go to the left side, what it does is it slows down this motor and it just increases the thing, so it would turn left. Or it can what it can do is basically it can slow down this one and increase this one, so it would turn right, okay? So that's how you're doing the turning. It's not like exactly like a car, but this is just a basic understanding. Once you get used to all of these basic skills and you get started, then you can do more advanced stuffs, okay? We will be using like different softwares. We'll show you how to actually utilize and use these softwares and applications, okay? So for this purpose, we've used this software called Fritzing, okay, for making the schematics. We'll show you later how to use it, okay? Now for actuators of our robot, there's not currently any actuator. It's basically the control that we're doing. So after processing the information, we're just telling the motors by controlling it that do not go this way or move back or go left or right, controlling the motors. That's basically actuating, okay? And now let's learn about basic programming of our robot. So I have included the program with basically PDF version. So what you could do is we're gonna be using this Arduino IDE, right? And once we download the IDE from there, we need to upload the instructions, and the program would be basically this thing. I'm gonna explain the code in a bit, and also I'll give you the code with it so you can just download and use. So you can just download the code of our robot, like here I've just given you this raw code. What would happen is you can download it or you can type it in by yourself in the Arduino IDE. So we're gonna show all of these things to you afterwards, and this should be alright for you. So usually in your Arduino IDE you will see like two things, like void setup and void loop. Okay, so we've written down the whole program for you. You can download it and upload it to your thingy, like the Arduino, or you can just write it down by yourself. So what this program tells you is it gets a signal from the echo pin, and the trig pin would work accordingly. Okay, and so one is transmitter, one is receiver, and then you have your motors like left or right side. So depending on the current you give to the motor, what would happen is the motor would rotate either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So you have two motors, and let's say one would get the current and one would get the current out, right? One would get the current, one would get the current out. So for two motors, you can easily control them using a motor driver. So we have one of those drivers included in our kit, and you can look up there as well in the component list, so I'll put it there. And also we kept a maximum range of 30 centimeters for that thing, so the sensors would receive it, and if there's something in between, what we would do is it would tell that, yeah, here we're setting up the pins. It would tell, yeah, don't go so close. If the duration it takes more than this and stuff, so go left or right, go left or right. Okay, so there's another page of code here. So, and the delay basically keeps the control over there. So we're going to teach you about microcontrollers in another workshop or another course, but here is just a basic idea about how to control this. Okay, so we are also working on developing a programming language which we will launch in the market like very soon, so keep an eye out for that. It's called Adama Script, okay, by Adama Robotics. And the final look of our robot would be like these ones. Okay, so here we have three kits from Adama Robotics. One is the line follower, and so as you can see is like a very prototype phase still. We haven't refined it yet, and we have very basic version of the Skippy robot that we have, that means it skips the obstacles. And we have a light following or light avoiding robot using LDR sensors. So in our future like tutorials, if you go to www.adamarobotics.com, and then there you'll see a tab called resources, and there you'll see manuals. You can learn about all of these robots. There's like more brief and good presentations over there. Okay, so let's move on to the last bit. So after you've connected all of these things, like you made up your robot, what you do is you do just a basic bit of testing. Okay, so now that we have prepared our robot, like after connecting and uploading everything, the robot should work fine. Okay, now if you face any trouble, what you need to do is just search online for the solution. Just type it in, like this is the problem, it's not working. There's hundreds of resources out there. Okay, or you can visit our website at adamarobotics.com. Here I've already said that to you, and or you can drop us an email here. Okay, so with this thing in mind, I'll just give you a basic demo of like how these robots should work. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our website quickly and tell you about how this thing is working. So adamarobotics.com quickly. So we're in Google right now, so I'll shrink the page down just to fit in here. So as you can see, this is the website, how it would look like. So you would come here, and at the bottom you can see like demonstration. So let's see what happens when we press this thing. So all of these videos are in our YouTube as well. So the robot should be working like this at the end. Okay, so I'll zoom it in a bit, like a little bit, yeah. And yes, this is how it should work. Visit our Facebook page and look at our kits. And thank you for watching, and get started soon. Okay, keep learning, keep developing. And you can also download these manuals, like from here. You can go to the resources tab and click manuals. The code should be here as well. Tutorials, there's more videos we've added there. And the manuals are basically where you can learn a little bit more about our presentation, how exactly it's working, and all these things. Okay, so I'll just give you a basic idea. So here is the guide that I just showed you. You can download it from here or go to my SlideShare. and we have a couple of other like manuals and kits. Okay, so thank you again guys for watching, and hope you have a very good time learning about robots. Okay, thank you so much.